In the silence before dawn, when the world still sleeps and the sky holds its breath, there is a story older than any empire, a legend that smolders beneath the ashes of time. It is not just a tale of fire, but of transformation. This is the legend of the phoenix, a creature born of flame, dying not in defeat, but in brilliance. And every time the world believes it's gone, it rises, stronger, brighter, unstoppable. Across ancient Egypt, the phoenix was the Bennu bird, a sacred companion to the sun god Ra. It appeared with each sunrise, a symbol of life renewed. In Greece, it became a majestic firebird, crimson and gold, that lived for centuries before setting itself ablaze, choosing death to claim new life. And in the east, the Chinese Fenghuang ruled the skies, not as a destroyer, but as a guardian of harmony, balance, and destiny. But this myth isn't just about a bird. It's about us, about how we break, how we burn, and how somehow we rise. The phoenix doesn't survive because it avoids death. It survives because it embraces it. So tonight, we chase the flame. We sift through ash and memory, legend and truth. Because the phoenix isn't just a symbol of rebirth, it's a reminder that no matter how dark the night, no matter how total the fall, something beautiful can always begin again. Let the fire show you the way. Long before the phoenix set the sky ablaze in Greek myths, a sacred bird rose from the banks of the Nile. In ancient Egypt, this creature was called the Bennu. The Bennu wasn't just a bird. It was a symbol of creation, life, and the eternal cycle of renewal. Described as a glowing heron, it perched atop the sacred Ben stone in the temple of the sun god Ra. Some said it called out at the start of time, its cry sparking the first sunrise. Others believed it was the soul of Ra himself, returning to the world with each dawn. The Egyptians didn't see death as an end, they saw it as transformation. That belief shaped their pyramids, their gods, and their vision of the afterlife. And the Bennu stood at the center of it all. It didn't just live, it returned, again and again. Some records say the Bennu appeared only once every 500 years. It would fly into the temple at Heliopolis, glowing with golden light, and build a nest of aromatic branches. Then it would burst into flames, only to be reborn from its own ashes. This story would later inspire the Greek phoenix, but to Egypt, the Bennu was more than legend. It was tied to the rising and setting of the sun, the flooding of the Nile, and the eternal return of life after loss. When the Nile ran dry, people remembered the Bennu. When tombs were sealed, they painted the bird on the walls, not just for beauty, but for hope. Because in the world's oldest civilization, they understood something we still chase today, that even in death, something divine can rise. Centuries after the Bennu bird lit the skies over Egypt, the Greeks told their own version of the eternal flame. They called it the phoenix. To the Greeks, the phoenix was not just beautiful, it was mesmerizing. With feathers of deep crimson, gold, and flame, it shimmered like the last rays of sunlight over the sea. No one could truly tame it. It lived far beyond mortal reach, in a distant land where time seemed to slow, and the air itself carried the scent of myrrh and spices. What set the phoenix apart wasn't just how it lived, but how it died. When its time came, after 500 years, maybe more, the phoenix didn't wither. It didn't fade. Instead, it built its own funeral pyre. High atop a sacred altar, it gathered cinnamon bark, incense, and sweet-smelling wood. Then, under the golden sun, it sang a haunting melody and burst into flames. And from those ashes, it rose, young, unscarred, eternal. Writers like Herodotus, Ovid, and Pliny the Elder all echoed this tale. Some even claimed the reborn phoenix would carry the remains of its former self in a sacred egg, placing it in the temple of the sun. It was death, yes, but also legacy. In Greek thought, the phoenix symbolized much more than immortality. It stood for resilience, the triumph of the soul, and the beauty that comes from embracing life's inevitable end. For a people who celebrated logic and poetry, war and wisdom, the phoenix was the perfect contradiction. A creature that found power in letting go. a firebird that reminded them and us that the end isn't always destruction. Sometimes it's transformation. Long before the Western world dreamed of fiery birds reborn in flame, the East already had its own legend, graceful, powerful, and deeply symbolic. In China, it was not the phoenix, but the Fenghuang. Unlike the solitary phoenix of Greece, the Fenghuang was a balance of dualities, male and female, yin and yang, heaven and earth. It was not a destroyer or a martyr. It was harmony itself. Where it flew, peace followed. Where it landed, prosperity bloomed. Its feathers shimmered with the 5 sacred colors: black, white, red, blue, and yellow, each one representing a celestial element, each one balanced in perfect unity. The Fenghuang did not burn to be reborn. It didn't need to. Its power lay in continuity, in the eternal cycle of grace and renewal. In Chinese mythology, the Fenghuang only appeared during times of peace under the rule of just and noble emperors. It was often paired with the dragon, symbolizing the empress to the dragon's emperor. Together, they represented the cosmic balance that held the universe together. But the Fenghuang was more than imperial propaganda. It was a spiritual emblem of virtue, of rebirth through wisdom, not flame. Unlike the dramatic fire and ashes of its Western cousin, the Fenghuang's transformation was quiet, graceful, inevitable. Over centuries, it became woven into everything from embroidered royal robes to ancient palace murals, watching over dynasties and dreams. Even today, in modern China, its image continues to symbolize resilience, elegance, and unity. So while the phoenix may teach us to rise after falling, the Fenghuang teaches us to rise with the world, not against it. And some's the most powerful rebirth comes not through destruction, but through balance. The phoenix may have its roots in Egypt and Greece, and the Fenghuang may soar across Chinese skies. But the idea of a bird that dies and is reborn appears in cultures all over the world. It's a flame that leaps across borders, a symbol that humanity seems to carry in its bones. In Persian mythology, there is the simurgh, a great benevolent bird, ancient beyond time. It lives in the tree of life, healing the sick and guiding heroes. It doesn't burn in fire, but it renews the world through wisdom and sacrifice. In Russian folklore, the firebird glows like embers and brings both blessing and peril. To find it is to begin a quest, but to catch it can bring misfortune. It represents both wonder and warning, rebirth with consequences. In Native American traditions, the thunderbird rules the skies, flashing lightning from its eyes, clapping thunder with its wings. Though not tied to fire, it represents power beyond the human realm, a force that clears the path for renewal through storm and rain. Even in early Christian imagery, the phoenix became a symbol of resurrection and eternal life. Artists painted it rising from ashes to mirror Christ's rise from the grave. Fire became faith, ashes, hope. Why does this story show up everywhere? Maybe because we all experience endings, loss, collapse, and maybe we all long for the promise that something can rise from it, that from ruin something brighter can emerge. The phoenix, by any name, reminds us that destruction isn't final. It's part of the cycle, a necessary burn before rebirth. And so this myth travels across time, across tongues, across oceans. Because no matter where we come from, we all believe in second chances. What makes the phoenix so powerful isn't just that it rises, it's that it chooses to burn. The legend is more than ancient history or cultural symbol. It's a metaphor for something deeply human, because we all, in our own way, know what it means to fall apart and to try again. Think of the moments we break, a failure we didn't see coming, a loss that cracks us open, a dream that turns to dust. These are our fires, our personal pyres. But what comes next? That is the phoenix moment. The phoenix doesn't rise instantly. First, it turns to ash. It gives in to the flame. And only then, when everything is gone, does something new begin. That's the part of the myth that strikes a chord, not the magic, the meaning. Rebirth isn't easy. It doesn't come with fanfare. It's quiet, hard, lonely, but necessary. That's why the Phoenix is not a story of invincibility. It's a story of resilience, of knowing that endings don't define us. What we do next does. Some people see the Phoenix in big life events, career changes, heartbreak, recovery. Others see it in everyday things, getting up after a tough day, trying again after failing, choosing hope in a moment of darkness. The fire is different for everyone, but the choice is the same, to rise or to stay in the ashes. The truth is, we all carry a little phoenix inside us, that spark that refuses to die, that ember that glows even when everything feels cold. The part of us that, no matter how many times it falls, always dares to rise again. So maybe the phoenix isn't just a myth, maybe it's a mirror, a reminder of who we are and who we're still becoming. So, what makes the phoenix more than just a myth? Maybe it's the fire, the elegance, the beauty of a creature that burns by choice and rises because it must. But maybe deep down, it's the feeling that its story is somehow ours, because we've all stood in the ashes of something we thought would last forever. We've all faced moments where everything we knew burned away, and still we rise. The Phoenix reminds us that transformation doesn't come without loss, that to be reborn, we first have to let go. Shed the past, surrender what no longer serves us. It's not just about survival, it's about becoming something more. Across cultures, from the sands of Egypt to the scrolls of China, this bird has endured, not because of magic or feathers, but because of meaning. It carries the human hope that we can begin again, that even in destruction, there's beauty. Even in endings, a spark of something new. And maybe that's the truth behind every great myth. It's not just about gods or monsters or magic. It's about us, what we fear, what we dream, what we fight to remember. So the next time life burns you down to nothing, remember the Phoenix. Remember that your story isn't over. That the ashes are not the end. They're just the beginning of something brighter. Before you go, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And if this legend lit something inside you, hit subscribe. We've got another ancient tale rising tomorrow, because every myth begins with a spark, and sometimes all it takes is one ember to light the way back.